PM Narendra Modi landed at the Calgary International Airport in Canada on Tuesday to attend the G7 summit that is taking place at the nearby Kananaskis village in Alberta. This is PM Modi's first visit to Canada since 2015, following an official invitation from Canadian Prime Minister Carney. Now, during the 23-hour tour, the PM will hold bilateral meetings with global leaders and also attend the outreach sessions at the G7 summit, coming over a month after India's Operation Sindoor that targeted terror infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir in retaliation for the April 22 Pahalgam attacks. Though India is not a member of the G7, Prime Minister Modi has been invited to the grouping's meeting consistently since 2019. This is his sixth consecutive visit to the G7 forum. The invitation reflects India's growing importance in Canada and around the world. The visit has global attention as it marks PM Modi's first visit to Canada since the diplomatic ties between the two countries in fact declined following the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in 2023. Meanwhile, my colleague Maha Siddiqui caught up with a few students ahead of PM Modi's visit, and here's what they had to say.
Indian students are a global lot these days. But what that means is a friction between the governments of two countries can have an immediate fallout on this younger lot. I have with me a group of students from India here in Canada. Let's speak to them about their expectations now that the relations between India and Canada seem to be improving. Many thanks all of you for speaking with NDTV. I'll start off with you. What expectation do you now have for the students, considering that there were some unique problems that students from India were facing in Canada? Do you think the fact that Prime Minister Modi is coming to Canada is a good sign even for the students?
I think it's an amazing sign, and as someone who calls herself a youth leader here in Calgary and Chesmer, I'm very, very happy to say that we, the students here as well as the Indian diaspora, we are eagerly ready to welcome Prime Minister Modi ji into Canada, and we really hope that this visit leads to a better alignment of Canada and India's values as well as their goals for both nations, and they work towards developing and building a mutually beneficial and effective relationship and alliance which can help and benefit both populations of India and Canada, and definitely can help some of our students as well, and we don't feel so split amongst our loyalties as well as amongst which country to support, to favor.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump abruptly left the G7 summit on Monday, departing a day early as the conflict between Israel and Iran intensifies, and the US leader declared that Tehran should in fact immediately be evacuated. Now, world leaders had gathered in Canada with one specific goal, and that was to tackle, in fact, the flare-up of violence in West Asia to diffuse a series of global pressure points. Additionally, it was only to be disrupted by a showdown over Iran's nuclear program that could escalate in dangerous and uncontrollable ways. We are picking up. Now, Israel has launched an aerial bombardment campaign against Iran 4 days ago. Sticking with the G7 meeting in Canada, for the 51st G7 summit, in a joint statement has urged for de-escalation on Iran as tensions in West Asia continue to in fact simmer. Now, the countries in their joint statement have said that Israel has the right to defend itself, adding that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. In the statement says, we urge that the resolution of the Iran crisis leads to a broader de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, including a ceasefire in Gaza. Here's a report.
We are seeing the statement coming in at a time when President Trump has already left the United States, considering the serious situation between Israel and Iran. The G7 leaders have come out with this statement. And as we were expecting earlier, that if the situation continues to escalate, then this will overshadow the G7 summit. This is exactly what seems to be happening now, with President Trump leaving the G7 summit midway and heading back to the United States. The stated reason being that this tension has gone up. But President of France, Emmanuel Macron has said that this could also signal that President Trump may push for peace, for a ceasefire now. We will have to wait and watch the unfolding situation, considering that President Trump also on the social media portal where he's on, which is Truth Social, had said that Iran should have struck a nuclear deal with the United States in the 60 days that were given to it. And since that was not culminated successfully, therefore, we are seeing the situation unfold. And he ended it by saying Tehran, the people in Tehran should evacuate now. So the situation continues to remain grim, but the G7, as you have already read out some of the details there of the statement, the G7 this time is anyway only coming out with separate statement on various issues. This, of course, is an issue that is unfolding even as we speak, and therefore the G7 coming out with a specific statement on that. However, the G7 this time is not going to have a big, long, single communique, and they will only have these smaller statements on which they are able to arrive at a consensus on.
The Israeli military struck a building in Deir el-Bala in central Gaza on Monday, sparking a fire. Now, no casualties were reported. This as residents evacuated after receiving a warning ahead of the attack this time, fortunately. Now, after the strike, residents rushed to search for casualties, as you see on your screens, and to in fact remove gas canisters from the area. Meanwhile, children were seen crying as firefighters arrived to extinguish the blaze. The strike comes amid ongoing Israeli military operations across the Gaza Strip. Also late on Monday, at least 34 Palestinians were killed in new shootings on the roads leading to Israel and US-supported food distribution centers in the Strip, the local health ministry has claimed.